Come on in, everybody, and welcome to our first family reunion. Woo-hoo-hoo. I am so excited. And this is our first family reunion, y'all. So you know what? We just gonna wing it. I don't really know how it's gonna turn out. But if you have made it here to the premiere, which means you're watching it right when it's premiering, thank you for coming to join me. I appreciate it. And I hope you are going to be active in the chat. But for those of you who didn't make it when I actually premiered the video, that don't mean nothing. Y'all can drop down in the comments and you can chime in on some of these questions we're going to be going through because you didn't have to be here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and or 9:30 Eastern Time. You can still participate down in the comments. But hopefully some of you, one or two of you at least, made it to the premiere and you can be in the live chat. But first of all, you know what? I would be remiss if I didn't give all of you a shout out, all 2,000 of my subscribers, because y'all, I hit 2,000 subscribers today. I was surprised. I woke up this morning and the congratulations was down all in my comments. And I was like, what? I hit 2,000 subscribers. I was like, yay, hey. So thank you guys so much for supporting me, for clicking that subscribe button, for watching me. Always encouraging me and lifting me up and giving me great ideas. I like this family reunion. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead right now. Go ahead and subscribe to this video, drop down in the comments because it helps me along. It helps encourage me. And like I told everybody before, it helps YouTube know I'm legitimate, I guess. Because I don't think they was giving me any love with my little 1,000 subscribers. So now I'm in the 2,000 club. So I really do appreciate all of that. And this is our first family reunion. And like I said, you know, I really only do two shows. Well, I kind of do three. I do Married at First Sight. I do Ready to Love. I do Put a Ring on It. Those are the ones I do pretty consistently. So like right now, of course, the only two shows on are Married at First Sight and Ready to Love. And of all my subscribers and watchers, everybody doesn't watch both shows. So if you are here for the Married at First Sight family, you know, let us know who you are. If you Married at First Sight, put a mask in the comment. And if you are here for Ready to Love, put an RTL in the comment. It's kind of like that family reunion. Remember that? What was that show? The Jenkins and the Johnsons. Like, are you the Jenkins family or the Johnson family? Which one are you? But we're not going to be competing against each other because we are all coming together and we are meeting each other for the first time. The Mass family and the Ready to Love family. And the questions that we are going to be talking about are going to be in general. So it doesn't mean that you have to know the show of Ready to Love or you have to know the show of Mass, because the purpose of this family reunion is to, even though these shows might have been our inspiration for the question, we're trying to do like more general questions, and I'm going to answer them if I can. Some of them I may not be able to answer. I don't know. I've written them all down here of what you guys have submitted. But I'm going to need the help of all the other aunties and uncles in the chat, in the comments, to answer the questions alongside with me. Because, of course, I mean, my answer ain't gold. I mean, I don't know all the answers. And typically, the best answers are sometimes, or the best solutions to questions, or if you're trying to solve a problem or whatever, sometimes the best solutions or answers come from a variety of sources. They never typically come for one source. So that's what we're trying to do. I mean, this is our first family reunion. We'll see how it goes. And if it goes well and I have a good time and you have a good time, then we absolutely can schedule another one. And we'll see how it goes. We may need to make some changes or whatever else the case may be. But Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple of questions. I don't know how many I have on here, 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know. We'll see how long it takes me to get through them because, I can get long-winded. And then if I don't get to the question today, then I'll save them for the next time. And I'm not getting any more questions. I haven't gone back into those forums to see if there are any more been submitted. I just pulled as of now which questions had already been submitted, and we're going to go over those. So welcome everybody, but come on, let's go ahead and start getting into these questions. So one of the first questions that came up for all of us aunties and uncles is, well, really it wasn't a question. I'm gonna say this, it wasn't a question, but what it was more of a comment, sort of laced with a question. And the question revolves around how should women be dressing when it comes to dating? That's kind of what the question is around. It came from a Ready to Love, a viewer, okay, because it came from that video, and it was surrounding around women dressing, how should a woman dress in dating? So I'm going to answer it in general. I don't want to answer it in terms of any specific person on the show of Ready to Love, because like I said, I don't want it to be like you have to watch the show or you have to know that person in order for you to relate to the question. So I think the general question more would be about how should a woman dress, especially I would say on a first date, because I think as you get to know a person, I think you can probably maybe change your dating, tailor your date, not dating, change your dress, tailor your dress, know more about dressing once you get to know a person, because, you guys will be more in sync. And you kind of know a little bit more about what he likes and what he doesn't like, and, what you feel comfortable with and all that other kind of stuff. So I think more of the question is more about in your initial meeting of a man. And these are really for women, because my audience is basically 98% women. So we're going to talk about women for the most part. What should you wear? Now, this is what I'll say about outfits for dating, because I often mention this on that show, Ready to Love, on past seasons and this season, is that dating really is an interview. I know people don't want to think of it like an interview, but it is an interview. When you are on the first date, the man is either trying to get a date with you, a second date if he likes you, or if you like the man, you are trying to get a second date with him too. You want a second date, or if he likes you, he wants a second date, or both of you like a second date. So in a lot of ways, dating is supposed to be a precursor to growing a relationship. Unless you're just out here dating to be dating and you care less if you want, if you're looking for something more. But I'm more talking about people who are trying to date with intentions, who are really dating for a purpose. They're not just dating just so they can go out and get a chicken dinner with somebody. You know what I mean? They're dating because they want to meet someone. They want to get to know someone. They're trying to possibly grow into a relationship where that relationship can grow into something more. And I don't know how far they want to go. Maybe they want to go all the way to marriage. So if you are looking to do some of those steps, then dating and your first date is important. And as a result, I think you need to treat it importantly with the way that you dress. And like I said, I think another goal of dating on a first date should be, just like when you dress for an interview, should be not to do any harm, okay? And I think one of the things that I think as women we are really comfortable with, we're comfortable with the work world. Most of us have jobs, most of us work. And so most of us have learned the rules of interviewing. We've learned the rules of how to show up to work, how to dress for work appropriately, how to dress for certain events appropriately. But sometimes, somehow or another, when it comes to dating, it's like all this knowledge we have as women, we throw it out the window, and then we show up on a date in something completely inappropriate, or we show up in an outfit that sends the wrong message. And I think it's because we relax more on the date. We think of it, oh, dating is different. This is work. This is business, but this is dating. Well, no, I think you have to look at dating in the beginning when you're trying to move in a goal. You have to look like it as any other venue where you're trying to get to a goal, and you need to treat it as such. Like, I really recommend that, just like women we may have interview outfits, right? So if you're in the interview mode, you might have had, oh, this is my interview dress. This is the dress I wear when I am going to go to an interview, or this is my power dress that I wear when I'm going to go to a business meeting. This is that. We have a wardrobe in our closet where we have certain dresses, certain outfits, certain things that we wear in order to present ourselves in certain environments. I would suggest that in dating, women do the same thing with dating. Get you a first date outfit, a couple of them. Outfits that you know that you feel comfortable in, that you know you look good in, they've been tried, they've been tested, and they've been true, and you whip that out on some of your first dates. Now, how do you choose that first date outfit? Well, here's the thing. When you're going out on a first date with a man, I don't know how well you know him. I mean, you may know him really well. You may have known him for a long time, or you may have just met him. But one of the things you don't want to do on a date is you don't want to limit your options. I always tell women, you want to be the person that gets to reject or accept, right? So we always get into this. I mean, you know, I tell women all the time, men are the choosers, men are the choosers, men are the choosers. But women also have the right to reject or accept. But if you ruin the offer, you never get the offer to accept or reject. And this is where women screw themselves. So what ends up happening is, even though you have the power, women, to accept and reject, if you eliminate that power too early in the dating process, you never get a chance to exercise the rejection or the acceptance, because no one is actually putting in an offer for you. And sometimes your offer is based on the way you're dressed. Sometimes you get offers from certain type of men based on the way you're dressed. So women say, oh, I'm always attracting these guys that are this and that. They're just here for that. Well, sometimes your dress, the way you're dressed, is inviting offers from the wrong type of guy, right? And then sometimes your dress is an enticing offers from the right type of guy. So what you have to do in determining what is going to be your first date outfit, or what's going to be your go-to outfit, you have to ask yourself, what is the type of man that I'm trying to attract? And what type of outfit would that man want? Okay? What type of outfit would that man look at and be like, she looks good, that looks nice? See, that's where you have to start with. Women have to start looking at themselves as, you are a girl, you a whole business. You marketing, you are finance, you are sales, you are customer service, you are all these things. And men are your customers. And so what you have to get in tune with before you decide how you're going to market yourself, which is how you dress on a first date, you've got to know your audience, and you've got to know what your target clientele is. You got to know your target market. Now, if I'm trying to attract, Tyrone on the corner with the gold chain, the gold teeth in the mouth, and all this other kind of stuff, I'm gonna wear a certain type of outfit so that I get the attention of Tyrone, right? But if I'm trying to attract another man of a different type of personality, character, or whatever else, I should be dressing appropriate for that man. Just like when you're going on a job interview, if you're going on a job interview at McDonald's, or you're going on a job interview at a corporate 50 company, you're not going to necessarily wear the same exact thing, because in one interview you might be overdressed, but in another interview you might be underdressed. So I say this, that you not definitely, but I'm going to suggest that you have some interview outfits, and I'm going to call them interview outfits, and I'm not going to call them date outfits. I'm going to call them interview outfits, because I want women to get into the mindset that you are interviewing every single time you go out on a date. You are interviewing every single time you go out on a date, okay? That is called a formal interview. When you're just walking around out here in the street, you want another type of interview. You're on an informal interview. okay, where it's more casual, but people are still looking at you, which means they also look at you according to how you dress. But when you're on a date, a one-on-one date, or you in a formal interview, you are absolutely in a formal interview. And let's be real. Let's be real. The first thing people are going to see before you even open your mouth is what you have on. I know we don't want to get, oh, don't be judging me by what I'm wearing. Don't be judging me. Don't be judging me. Don't be judging me. Well, listen, you have to understand a few basic things. If you want to deny the fact that people glean information about you by the way you're dressed, it is absolutely true. You can stick your head in the mud and you can try to pretend like it's not true all you want, but it's absolutely true. Okay, so this is what I want y'all to do. In the chat, I want you, if you can remember what you were wearing, all you married women out there, all you aunties and uncles and married women, can you remember what you had on when you first met either, whoever is your long-term boyfriend or who is your husband, okay? Because I want to see what type of outfits we all had on. You might have been at a pool party. You might have been at the beach and had a bikini on or whatever else. Who knows what you had on? But I want to hear from all y'all. What did you have on when you first met your husband or your ex-husband, if you divorced now, or if you have a boyfriend right now, what were you wearing? And where were you? And was your outfit appropriate for the occasion or what? Tell me some stories down in the chat. Tell me some stories down in the comments if you missed the premiere. But I'll tell you what I had on. I met my husband at a backyard luau, okay? And so I had on like a Hawaiian dress. So it was a dress that, what do you call it here? So my shoulders are out, but it came here, but it was long. It went all the way down to the ground and it had straps here. So I like my outfit the day, and I had a little flower in my hair because it was a luau. So it was a colorful dress. It was here and it was appropriate for the occasion, but yet I was not showing a whole lot of skin. Now, I was at a luau and I was at a pool party. So there were some women there who had on bikinis or swimsuits. But at the time, I was coming with another girlfriend. I didn't wear all that. I just wore, like I said, my luau dress. It was, what's it called when they go right here? I forget what those dresses are called. And it was long and it was colorful. So that's the dress that I met my husband in. But everybody else, what did you wear when you first met your boyfriend or your husband? And what do you suggest if a woman is trying to pick out an outfit for a first date? Do you suggest showing a lot of skin, a zero skin, no skin, a lot of skin, or some skin? What do you suggest? I actually suggest you go in the middle, because men are on different sides of the spectrum. Some men like to see a whole lot of skin in the beginning. Some men will be like, I didn't really want to go out with her again because she looks too conservative. Some men will say she showed too much skin. So I always say err on the side of caution, because it's better maybe to be able to spruce it up or lighten it up than it is maybe to, after you send the wrong message, to be able to tone it down. So I would say, and I would also say, wear something that flatters your body. Okay, sometimes I see women wearing outfits that they look good on a mannequin, but they weren't made for you. That's why I say, get a couple of outfits, tried and true, invite some girlfriends over one day, make it a little champagne party or wine party. Say, girl, I'm getting back out on this dating scene, and I need to come up with 4 dating outfits. Get 4 of your girlfriends to come over, okay? And you do a little wardrobe change, have some fun, put some music on, take some pictures of yourself, and come up with like about 4 different outfits. So when those dates do come up, you can kind of interchange and just pull those outfits out right away. And you're going to look good. You feel good. Everybody else has already told you you look good in the outfits. And get you some truth-telling women. Don't be getting these women who just tell you what you want to hear, okay? Women, you need some women who are going to tell you the truth, who are really going to tell you, a girl, that ain't the outfit for you. Don't get women who are just here to tell you, puff you up, make you feel comfortable. If you really want to succeed, you're going to need to have some truth tellers in your life. People who tell you the truth, but who tell you in a nice way, in a loving way, but they feel comfortable telling you the truth and saying to you, hey, that may not be the best outfit for you. It doesn't necessarily flatter your most flattering parts of yourself. Sometimes it may accentuate the wrong parts of your body. But get you some truth tellers. Try a couple of your dating outfits on a friend's. Don't just trust your own instinct. Do yourself a favor and do one of your own little informal surveys when it comes to picking you out a couple of outfits. So anyway, I hope that answered the question well enough. I don't know. But if I miss anything, y'all in the chat, definitely fill in the gaps for me, because I can't cover all the bases. But for sure, let me know, what outfit did y'all have on when you first met your boyfriend, your husband, or whatever? Because people might be surprised how people met their husbands and spouses. You might be surprised that women may say, I had on a sweatpants and my hair was in a ponytail. Because women often think that, you only meet with men when you're all dolled up and everything is looking perfectly and coiffed. And you'll be surprised how many women met their boyfriends, husbands, or whatever, looking like, they were just coming from the gym with no makeup on, hair in a bonnet, and that's it. So let me know down in the chat, what were y'all wearing? Okay, so we're going to go on to the next question. Let's see here. Okay, so the next question is definitely coming from a MAPS, Married at First Sight family member, because they are asking about, and I'm going to put it in general sense because I don't want to do it specifically for the character in Married at First Sight, which is about more than y'all, but who those, but I want to put it in general. And I think the general question more is about, are women getting passes out here in their behavior in dating, whereby the men are being held more accountable than the women? That's kind of the general question. The general question is, are men now starting to be held more accountable than women in dating, and women are losing accountability in dating in terms of what they're doing, how they're showing up in relationships, and them taking accountability for their bad behavior? And I'm gonna tell you, absolutely, it's what's going on. It's absolutely what's going on. I think I said this in one of my other videos, that I too have been noticing, not only on all these reality TV shows, because I watch reality, that's my favorite genre of shows, y'all, reality TV shows. I have been noticing over the course of years that bad behavior, I wouldn't say bad behavior, not bad behavior, less attractive behavior, more or less attractive behavior is coming more from women these days than it used to be. Okay, I'm not going to say you're worse than the man or better than the man, but I'm going to say that indeed you absolutely see more inappropriate behavior or personality types coming from women than we used to. Do y'all agree with that? Let me know, yes or no. Or is it just me, or are all of you starting to see this as well? And I don't think it's necessarily that the so-called producers of the show are sifting through these women, trying to find the worst and the worst of the women, and they're somehow bringing these women to our forefront. I don't think that's what it is, because I actually noticed it even in the real world. I've even noticed it in just my daily life. You will encounter women that are exhibiting a lot of traits that before you would primarily see in men. Like, I can tell you that I am encountering more women these days who have narcissistic personalities than I've ever seen. Narcissism, of course, has been around for a long time. And I know, everybody's using it loosely nowadays, but I think we used to see it a lot more in men. predominantly more in men. Like, if you looked at, percentage of men who are narcissists versus the percentage of women who are narcissists, I think that years ago, hands down, there were absolutely more men who are narcissists than women. But what I'm finding is that in my daily life, even encountering women on the streets, either in business or just in social settings, I'm finding more and more women who are narcissists. And if they aren't narcissists, they lack accountability. And I think that as a result, that is also showing up in these dating shows. So we see, and I think that what's going on is I think historically women have been treated a bit differently than men. I mean, we even raised women differently, right? We were never as hard on women as we are on men. A lot of things change. And I think nowadays a lot of women use that to their advantage. They use the fact that as society or even as individuals, we might be a bit tougher on men. I think a lot of women use that to their advantage. And the other part about it is, I think even on these television shows, we talk about not being held accountable. I think another thing is, and this has to do with men where they have to change, is that I think a lot of women are more comfortable advocating for themselves or even speaking up and saying when they've been harmed. I think we have more practice at it, and I think that is more embraced in society. I think when a man stands up and says, you're hurting me, you've done something wrong to me, you've harmed me, you've abused me, I think men are not fully comfortable with saying those words. So oftentimes they may suffer in silence. I think we're seeing that this year, the situation with Ben. Whereas women, we've often been allowed to express our emotions and feelings more. And sometimes it's a matter of the squeaky wheel gets the attention. So, if you're on these shows and they're calling out men, but they're not calling out women, sometimes it's because women are pointing out how they've been harmed more and the men aren't pointing it out more. So I think there's a lot of things at work going on, not work. I think there's a lot of things at work in these shows going on that contributes to women sometimes being held less accountable. And to that respect, on that show, Married at First Sight, most of the experts, I think, are older. Pastor Cal, Dr. Pepper, they're older. So their approach in maybe working with women may be different based on how women were 10, 15 years ago. But women aren't the same as they were 10, 15 years ago. So in some respect, the way you work with women has to evolve because women have evolved. And here's the thing about coddling women, because if y'all watch my shows, any of my reviews, one thing you know is I don't coddle women. Sometimes people say I'm too hard on women. But here's the thing, I really do. Sometimes maybe you guys may not get that feeling that I'm not here for women, but I am here for women. I want women to win. But as an older woman, what I have seen when you get to be older, you get to see a lot of people who haven't learned lessons they should have learned back in their 20s. And then here they are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And you say, dang, didn't anybody tell you this back in your 20s or 30s? And in some cases, the answer is no. Some cases it's yes, and people blew it off, and so they're stuck. But in some cases, people coddled people for a long time, never told them the truth. And so these people have just gone through life really believing that there's nothing wrong with them and that the problem is everyone else. So they're constantly looking for a different person. Oh, I keep running to the wrong people. I need this person. I need this kind of people. And they're looking for partners and dates and people in their lives to accommodate their BS. When the real solution is, no, you need to fix your BS. You don't need to keep trying to find a different person to accommodate what actually needs to be changed and fixed in you. So I think when we coddle women and we don't hold them accountable, it's not really about being hard on the women. If you care about the women and you care about the women getting better and growing and succeeding, then you should help them and say, hey, you're stuck here. And if you're trying to get married and I see you doing something that is extremely detrimental that could prevent you from attaining your goal, should I coddle your ego? Or should I also be able to give you and tell you something that you might be able to use so you could help reach your goal? So, do I think that women are sometimes being coddled to their own detriment? Absolutely. I think that sometimes on the show, we are harder on men, and we are protecting women because women are sometimes more fragile and we are protecting them. But in our protecting of them, sometimes we are also enabling them. So it's a balance. It really is a balance. But I think women also have changed in the last 10 and 15 years. And so some women don't need to be treated with as many kid gloves as sometimes we're treating them, because sometimes these women are really out here doing some foul, abusive things, and they really need to be called on their mess. That doesn't take away how we need to call men on the same thing. But like I said, what I'm dealing with in this Q&A is really about women. So I don't want people to say, oh, what about the man? Because then the show will be too long if I have to keep bouncing back to the men and women to the men. I am here primarily to help women win. So I want to discuss more so what are some of the things that would help women win, regardless of what men are doing. Because, yeah, there's a whole lot of problems with things that men are doing, but I'm here to help women. So we're going to focus on that. So what do y'all think? Do you think that a lot of these reality TV shows are coddling women? And better yet, another question would be, do you think a lot of women are showing up unprepared for dating? That's the other part of it, which I think is true. I think there used to be a time when women were more prepared for dating than they are. And I think that came because I think we used to be groomed for dating a lot more. I think before that was all women were taught how to get ready for a man, how to prepare yourself for a man, how to do this. This is how this whole pygmesia thing came along, right? Now people are anti-pygmesia, where they've gone from constantly worrying about how to be presentable to a man to now it's come to the part about, well, I don't want to do anything for a man. We've gone to the whole other extreme. I can't stand this pygmesia term. What do y'all think? Do you guys agree with the pygmesia term? Are you thumbs up or thumbs down on the pygmesia term? And I guess it would depend on what your definition is of pygmesia. I think people have a different pygmesias. I think some people definition of pygmesia is you do whatever, you do anything the guy wants just so he'll like you. I don't know. That's how I think of it. But sometimes I hear people calling women a pygmesia just because the woman is considering what the guy wants. Like there's one thing to never consider yourself and all the consideration is because what the man wants. Yeah, that would be a pygmesia. But another thing is, well, I can't just be thinking about myself and not what he wants, because that's when we're starting to fall into what I'm talking about, the narcissism. Because then what happens is you're saying that only my feelings are the most important. What I want is the most important. What I want to do is the most important. To heck with what you want. And then you start getting to that accept me as I am stuff. See? That stuff right there, that's another part I like. The accept me as I am. How do y'all feel about that term? Do you believe you should be accepted 100% as you are? Do you believe that there is a person out there for you that's gonna like every single thing about you? And is that what you're out here looking for? So I don't believe that there is a person that wants to accept every single thing about me. And I don't want to accept every single thing about another person either. Which means in order for me to blend with another person, with a man, that means that along the way, I am going to have to change something about myself. Now, what I have to change may be different from man to man. So you kind of really, there'll be some general things, but you learn some of those things inside of a relationship where you say, oh, this doesn't fit well with this man. It may fit well with another man. But the goal to have to avoid changing is fruitless. And that's what a lot of people are looking for out here. Even when you start looking at, when they start talking about what type of man they want. Their whole list, when they be having 100 things, on that list really are all their characteristics, right? So when you see a woman with 100 things of what they want in a man, it's typically because those are the things they are. And so what they're saying is, I'm these 100 things, and so what I want a man who is also these 100 things, because then guess what? I don't have to change. I can come just as I am, and we're going to fit and blend nicely. Well, that's a fruitless journey. You're never going to find that guy. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen at all. So do I think that more women need to be held accountable? I do, because I really believe that women are losing ground out here in relationships. I really do believe, because I think there are a lot more women who want relationships, but they're not finding success at it. And in order to find a success in a place where you haven't been having success before, you need to change. You can't keep peddling the same product, waiting for someone to buy the product. You have to adjust your product. Like I said, you are a business, you are an entity. You have to adjust your product to meet the market. Does it mean you need to lose yourself completely? No, absolutely not. But you do have to take inventory of yourself and say, what are some qualities about myself that are not, very attractive to a lot of men, that I might need to change and adjust so that I can be more appealing to a wide variety of men, as opposed to trying to look for a man like a needle in a haystack. I mean, like I said, the goal should be to get a bunch of offers in, and then you get to reject or accept those offers. But you have to learn how to get them offers in, ladies. And to get them offers in, that means that you're going to have to make some adjustments to yourself. And it's going to be different for different women. So when we're watching these reality TV shows, at least in my reviews, I often see things in women where I'm like, you know what, they got a lot of good qualities about them, but there's a few things that they need to adjust. And if they did adjust those things, they might have a winning ticket. They really would. But anyway, let's go on to the next question. So the next question is definitely coming from another Married at First Sight viewer, but it is a general question. And the question is, I'm going to rephrase it, but it's basically saying, is being attractive and attraction the same thing? Now, if y'all are Married at First Sight viewer, you know this probably coming from the whole Kristen Mitch video. But it is a general question, and I actually think it's a very, very good question. Is being attractive and attraction the same thing? So first of all, we're going to start with attractive, okay? Everybody, first of all, in the chat, in the comments, do you think that being attractive and attracted is the same thing? And I'm going to say a no, but you all can put in the comments, what do you think? Do you think it's the same thing? And I'm going to tell you what I think the difference is, and you guys can tell me, or what do you think the difference is between the two in the chat as well. But I think the difference is attractive is something that is in the beginning of getting to know someone or meeting a person. I think attractive is sort of your initial response or emotion or feeling towards a person. Like I can look at a guy or a female or whatever. Oh, she's attractive. She's attractive, right? And I think a lot of that may be the exterior, the outside. She's attractive. And then, like we said, sometimes men are visual. So what happen is that may catch the eye of a man because, oh, that woman is attractive. So his eyes will be drawn to her because she's attractive. Now, attracted, I believe, is long-term. Okay, so I think attractive is initial, and I think attracted is long-term, because I think attracted, what it is, it starts to bring in all the other facets of you. So you may be pretty, you may be attractive, but if you're inside your personality or who you are, I'm not attracted to you. You're attractive, you're pretty, you're beautiful, okay? He's handsome. But as I've gotten to know you, I'm not really attracted to you. But I can see that you're, like, for instance, people like Shamar Moore, different, how the movie stars, you might think like, oh yeah, he's an attractive guy. I could tell he's attractive. Women would like him. He's got attractive features, but I'm not attracted to him because of his personality or other things I know about him. And I think that is the difference between attractive and attractive. So what do y'all think? I think attractive is initial, it means a man finds you attractive, but I think attracted is long term. And let me tell you what is the most important. The most important is the latter, attracted, not attractive. Okay? Long term, the most important is attracted. Does that mean the man doesn't have to find you attractive? Absolutely not. It doesn't mean that. But what it means is that a relationship can be sustained better when a man reaches the level of being attracted and you're not attractive. Now, I'm going to go a little bit back into this Married at First Sight because I think it's relevant. And I'll bring in the Ready to Love people a little bit, catch you up to speed. So what happened was a husband said that he wasn't initially attracted to his bride because she wasn't his type. Basically, he was saying he didn't find her as attractive as another type of woman he would date. And of course, that hurt the woman's feelings. He shouldn't have even said it to her, but he said it. Let me get over that. He should have said it. But what I think happens over time, which happens to a lot of people, is once you start getting to know the person and you start to know more things about that person, you actually grow an attraction to that person. And so you start to say to yourself, wow, I am actually more attracted to this person now that I know them than when before all I had to do was go off of their looks. See, when all I have to go off of your looks, then all I have to go off of are your looks, which means either to me you're attractive or you're not. But once I get to know more about you, your personality, your heart, what makes you tick, what things you like, what things you don't like, now I'm going into attractive, and I'm growing into attractive. Now, this is how marriages evolve, people. This is how marriage evolves. Because here's the first thing. If you are staking all your claim on being attractive, which is the physical, then you are going to have a rocky marriage later on. Because listen, the saying is correct. Beauty fades. Okay, beauty fades and looks fade in every relationship. No woman is going to look the same when she's 50 as she did when she was 20 or 30. Okay, I know we out here talking about, 50 to new 30, 50 to new 40. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. You may look good for 40. You may look good for 50. But if you look like you look now when you was 20, then when you was 20, you look old. Let's be real, people. Let's be real. So if you were in a relationship with a husband, okay, you may not be as attractive as you were when you were 20, but your husband can still be more attracted to you at 50 than he was when you were 20. That's the key. That is the key. So as you grow in love, your love moves from just being attractive to being attracted. Attracted is what makes things stick. Attractive is googly eyes, a booty calls, or she fine, he fine. That's the initial stages. Every woman should want to move into the category of being attracted. You know what? I know on this show, I want to be known as the most beautiful woman in the world. Well, those are people who, can't deal, a lot of times also can't deal with reality. I'm not the most beautiful woman. You not the most beautiful woman. Odds are none of us up in here in this chat on this video are the most beautiful woman in the world. So for me, I would want a husband who absolutely finds me attractive, sexually attractive, all that. And I also would want a man who is growing in attraction to me, that as he learns more about me, he is loving me even more. Some women are very attractive, and then what happens is, as the man gets to know them, they become less attracted in them. I certainly wouldn't want that. So I think that those are the two differences between attractive and attracted. What do y'all think? Or what do you think is the difference between being attractive and attracted? And if you had to choose, I know we want both. I know we want both. We want to be both attractive to a guy and we want a guy to be attracted to us. But if you could only choose one, only one, ladies, what would you choose? Would you choose to be attractive or would you choose to be the type of woman where men are attracted to you and with you? And I'm gonna tell you right now, I would choose to be attracted. Okay. And let me tell you, this is also why, in my Ready Love, I've been doing a lot of side chick. I've been talking about the side chick. This is also where side chicks get it wrong. Because side chicks concentrate on attractive. They think because they have the package, the nice body, the small waist, the nice butt, the nice hips, the beauty, the thing, they think, why is this husband with these washed up women, as Kayla said, with bellies hanging over? Because the difference is the wives have attracted the man. They may not be as attractive as the side chick, but they have something better, and that better is they have the attraction of the man, which means they are the whole package. That's why it goes back to all these other shows, 80%, 20%. 20% is the attractive. 80% is he's attracted to you. Now, if you got both, you got the looks and you got now you're a winner. But if I had to choose between one or the other, I would absolutely choose to be attractive. How about y'all? What would y'all want to be, attractive or attractive? Let me know down in the comments and also in the chat. Okay? So we're going to move on to the next question. Okay, so on to the next question. So the next question is, this is a general question. As a Black woman who has entered her 30s, what should I know about dating? I would say if you're entering your 30s, I would say focus, 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 okay? Especially if you're entering your 30s, you don't have any children and you want to have children. These are pretty much your last 10 years. I mean, you can't have kids over 40. I know women have kids over 40. Women are having kids via surrogate and all that. So I'm not saying that that's not possible, but the majority of women tend to have their children, still tend to have their children between, 30 and 40, whatever else. So I would say focus, focus, focus. And like I said in the earlier questions about women need to reframe dating. First of all, I'm going to say, wouldn't even use the word phrase dating no more, because I think dating is outdated now. I think it's an old term because people assign dating today like back in the day, and that's not even how people date anymore. So I look at dating now more in terms of when you're out here trying to meet a person, trying to grow connections with different people, and possibly get into relationships with someone. It's changed. And just like everything else in the world is, the way you meet people, the way you interact has changed. And so as a result, you've got to update your own methods to how you date or meet each other, whichever term you want to use, being here. But I would say that you need to focus, because first of all, people are busy. You busy, he's busy. Everybody's busy. Everybody has less time. Everybody has less money. Okay, let's be real. First of all, it's not cheap going out on dates anymore. And so dates may be becoming a lot less frequent these days with women because it's expensive. Shoot, I'm in California. I just paid $6.20 a gallon for some gas. So even me if I was a man, even me just coming over to pick you up is expensive. So to pick you up, take you out, pay for it, that's expensive. And if I'm doing that every week, twice a week, that's expensive. And people have goals out here, ladies. Men want to buy property. They want to buy houses. They're trying to start new businesses. And a lot of men just don't want to sit around and waste that money on women that they feel weren't worth it. So a lot of men, they're vetting their dates a lot more. Before they used to hand out dates like candy. Before, back in my day, if you were at a club, men bought drinks for everybody after, in your little circles of girlfriends. All that stuff is over. So men are being a lot more scrutinizing who they invite out. So a lot of the times, you're getting to know a person. You're getting to know a person not just on a date, face to face. You're getting to know them on the phone, or FaceTiming, Zoom, or whatever else the case may be. It's just like interviewing. I keep telling you, dating and it's a lot like interviewing. Like now, we're not going to call you in no face-to-face interview. We ain't flying you out here for no interview. First, we're going to have a couple of interviews over the phone. We're going to have you meet some people over Zoom. And then if you make our final 3, then we will fly you out to interview with the company, or we will invite you to come into the office to interview. That's how dating is now. You just don't get a date just because a guy thinks you're cute. No, you don't. Not no more. Not no more. That's not how it works. And to be honest with you, ladies, you should also have your own screening process. You shouldn't just be going out on dates with men who don't meet your criteria. So in terms of what you should be knowing about dating, and I say focus, in order for you to focus, you have to know what you want, because it's hard to focus when you're all over the place. So the first thing you will do, if you're trying to tighten up your dating scene, you might need to tighten up your criteria for dating. And what I tell women to do is come up with your top 5 must-haves in a man. 5 must-haves. Now, women want to write a whole list of 100 things they want in a man. You're going to be single forever if you got a list of 100 things. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you can't narrow your list down and you got to write the 100 things, write the 100 things down first. Then of those 100 things, I want you to pick out the most important, a top 5. That's what I want you to do. Now, what you don't do is you don't accept a date unless that man has those top 5. That's what you don't do. You don't do. And you may not know if he has all top 5 at one time before you accept a date. But what you don't do is you don't go out with men who have none of your top 5. Okay? He has to have some of your top 5 before you even go out on a date with him. Okay? And let me tell you about this top 5 list I want all women to start creating. I want you to get someone who can hold you accountable to your top 5. Because oftentimes what women do is they say what they want, but then they go out with a completely different type of guy. It's like, this is not what you said you wanted. It's like a job. If you come to me and say, okay, I want a type of job where I have flexible hours, I make $50,000 a year, this and that, but then I see you go over here and you pick a completely different job. I said, well, that's not what you told me you were looking for. Yeah, I know, girl, but it was who offered me the job. Okay? That's what some women are doing with men, because they're lonely. Get a hobby. They're just going out on dates, or they're entertaining men who don't have enough of the things that they want in the beginning. But part of that is focusing your mind on what's most important. And here's the other thing about the top 5. Don't just be putting wishes. Put your priorities. Some women want things that they don't even need. Put the things that you absolutely need, priority. That's why I say it's the top 5, because when you have to narrow your list down to 5, you really get down to the real and nitty gritty. What's the most important? What you could go without. And it doesn't mean you'll have to go without it. It just means that you're going to focus on the top 5. Now, what you should be doing, because you never know if a man has your top 5, when you're talking to them on the phone, when you're FaceTiming them, when you're just whatever, you should be figuring out, does this man have your top 5? Date with a purpose. Every date, every interaction, every conversation, you should be coming away with information. A lot of people out here dating, and they come back from dates with people and they don't have any more information. You'd be like, what did you do for the whole 2 hours on the date? They talked about nonsense, stupid stuff. Talk about the most important stuff. Get to the meat and potatoes. Get to it. Figure out, does this person have the qualities that you will look for, that you're looking for? And if not, don't waste your time with them or move on. But it really starts with your immediate top 5 list, and get you a couple of friends that are going to hold you accountable to make sure that you don't go out with people that aren't on your top 5. Hand to your girlfriend and say, hey girl, here's my top 5 list. I need you to hold me accountable. And if you see me trying to go out with a guy that doesn't have these qualities, let me know. Hold me accountable. So what are some things to put on your top 5? Hey, if you in the chat, you in the comments right now, start telling me if you had to narrow down your top 5 things you want in a man, or what would they be? And listen, hey, don't be putting down no generic stuff, okay? Because you want to be able to evaluate the man. So don't be putting something around, I love a man. One thing I hear about women, I want a man who loves God. Okay, got it. But that's too general. Because how I evaluate whether or not a man loves God and how you evaluate whether a man loves God is 2 different things. So if I'm holding you accountable to your top 5 and you just put, hey, I like a man who loves God, I might hold you accountable according to my standards. But I need to know what your standards are. What do you want? Do you want a man that prays every single day? Does he have to go to church every single week? Once a month? Does he not have to go to church? Be really specific. Do not use a general things like, I want a man who loves God. I want a man who is fun and outgoing. No. Fun and outgoing, what's fun to you? Me? I just like riding roller coasters. I like things that go fast, but that's not fun to you. So tell me what is fun to you. What is outgoing to you? Is it a hobby? What is it that makes it fun to you? That way, when you're meeting people, you can say, are we in sync on these sorts of things? I want a man who's generous. I want a man who's kind. What does generosity look like? Some women think generosity is, hey, I want him to pay for these things or do these things for me. I don't know what it is, but be really specific. Do not use general categories, because the more specific you are, then the better you will be to focus and narrow your dating choices out here. It's just like if you were, putting a job ad out and you're looking for a certain type of person to come interview for the job. You're not going to just say, hey, I want you to be bilingual. Well, I don't know. Do you want me to know English and Italian, English and French, English and Spanish, English and Russian? Be specific. What type of bilingual do you want me to be? You want me to be English and Spanish, English and French? Be specific in what you're looking for. And when you are specific, what you'll do is you'll be able to weed out the people who don't qualify, and you'll be able to see who does qualify. Because listen, in dating, it's not about it's improving your quality of your dates, right? You want the quantity, that's true, but you also want quality. So, for instance, if you're putting an ad out for a job, sure, you may want a lot of resumes to come in, but then you have to sift through those resumes to pick out the quality resumes. So you want your job description to be well, so that you don't get a lot of people who are applying that don't qualify. So you also want to have a quality, but in order to evaluate those resumes, in order to evaluate men for dates or should they get your attention or whatever, you absolutely need to have some type of system to evaluate it. And so I would say in dating out here now, one of the things that I find is that women are not focusing on their priorities. They are more focusing on their preference. They're looking for things that don't matter long term. And although there'll be nice things to have, they shouldn't be at sort of the top of their list. Like when I hear women say, I want a man with a linebacker body. Okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, who wouldn't want a man with a fine, a chiseled body and those types of things. But in the long term, if you're really trying to have a long-term relationship, whether or not his muscles are a size 10 inches or 15 inches or 20 inches, in the end, that's going to weigh less. You want a man that, yeah, you're sexually attracted to, but it doesn't have to come in the form of 15-inch muscles. I don't even know how much a muscle is. So that's what I mean. Focus on your priorities and not your preferences. And then I would also say that you also need to do some market analysis. I tell you, you guys are a whole entity if you're in your 30s. Men have a lot of choices out here these days, and they have a lot of women who are willing to give a lot of things away for free. So I would say in dating initially, I think one of the things that comes up very often in dating is, like, a lot of men want to get physical really soon, sooner than a woman does. And you hear men walking around all the time talking about, well, I'm not going to keep going out with no woman if we are not intimate with each other within the first or second or third date. This is what I say to that. No woman wants to be going out on 3 dates and then having a sex with a man. Most women don't want to do that. And so I think women, we would like to have enough time in order for us to feel comfortable. So this is what I would say this. If I were dating and I met a man that I liked, but that man also was saying, hey, I don't like to go out with women or spend money on women unless I'm intimate with them, I would say, okay, well, you can be intimate with other women. We don't have to be intimate. And I can get to know you in different ways. Because if I got to know you in a different way, and then I started liking you and investing in you, I would have no problem being intimate with the man. But the problem is the man is asking for something sooner than I'm willing to give it. Now, hey, if you want to go out and you want to go out with another girl over here, Jay, and you want to have intimate intercourse with her, I'm okay with it. Because you know what? I'm not going to be doing it. I can get to know you. I can get to know you because let me tell you, a lot of men, oftentimes that's how they're dating out here. They have a woman that they're sleeping with, but they're not willing to be in a relationship with that woman, but she's just there to itch his scratch. And then they're still out here looking for the woman they actually want to couple up with and be in a relationship with. A lot of men, that's what they do. And what you don't want to be, ladies, is you don't want to be the woman that he's sleeping with while he's actively out here looking for the real woman that he wants to be his girlfriend or his wife. What you want to say is, I'm okay with you using another woman to sleep with because I'm not applying for that job. I'm not applying to be just your sex partner. I'm trying to be something more. And as a result, I'm not going to fall into that role until I'm sure that you're also what I want. You see, that's how changing it. That's why when you start vetting men, you start to say, listen, why would I sleep with you if I'm not sure you even have the things on my top 5 list? So that's why I'm telling women, you need to have a set of criteria because oftentimes women are sleeping with men that don't even meet their top 5. They're giving the goods away to the wrong man. And then when the man that comes around that does have the top 5, then they're not giving the goods to that man. It doesn't even make any sense. It's like it's backwards. They're holding out on the man that they like, but then they're sleeping with the man that doesn't even have their top 5. So I would say be a little bit more discriminatory in the way that you hand out your goodies. Come up with a better system, okay? Narrow down your system, your top 5, so that you can focus more. It's like anything else. When you got a whole lot of things flying around, it's hard to focus. That's why you have to narrow the list down. When you have too many things on your wish list for a man, this is why you end up choosing the wrong man because you can't concentrate on what's most important. You're too busy. It's like going to a restaurant. I don't know if y'all got wherever you are, if you have cheesecake factories, but it darn near sometimes takes people 15 minutes to decide what they want to order at Cheesecake Factory because it's so much on the menu. And that's what's happening with men out here. It's so many women. And it's also starting to happen to women because even women, like I said, when we were answering the other question, women are starting to take on a lot of characteristics that men have. And because women are free to do things that men have, we are starting to find ourselves in some of the same dilemmas whereby we can narrow down our choices on what we want to do. And so we are all over the place too. So in your 30s, I would say focus on what you want. And then I would also say focus on becoming and being the person that the person you want would want. Okay, that's the second part. A lot of people write down what they would want, but then when you look at that list and say, okay, well, would that guy want you? Would like all married first sight people, we know what's the girl name, Alexis talked about the type of guy she wants. She wants a football, a linebacker type. I watch football, and let me tell you, the linebackers are some of the most in shape of players on a football team. So the fact that she would want a linebacker, I would say, well, why would a linebacker necessarily want her body type? And this is what I mean. Make sure that what you want, that person would want you, because otherwise your list is useless, because you're out here wanting something, but that person doesn't want you. It's almost like I'm selling ice cream, but the person coming in wants to buy some fried chicken. It doesn't matter how good my ice cream is. They're not in here for ice cream. They're here to come buy fried chicken. So make sure that what you want, okay, that you are offering something attractive to that person. Because if you're not offering to them what they want, then you're dating out here and it's just useless. So people, what do you think are some of the things that you would want in your top 5? If you had to narrow down what you want in your top 5, start putting them down in the chat, in the comment section. What are your top 5? And I also want to hear that what do you think are your top 5 most attractive qualities about yourself that men find attractive? Like a lot of us, a lot of you have gone out on dates and men have told you things about yourself that they find attractive, and you probably heard them over and over and over again. So women out here are trying to find maybe some things that men find attractive. Women, what have you heard from men when men say, I like this quality about you, I like this about you? Put it down in the chat so other women can learn what are some things that men are out here telling other women that they find attractive. Put it down in the chat. Okay, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question. So the next question is, besides the physical aspect, what does a man over 50 look for in a wife? I'm going to tell you this, y'all. I meet a lot of men, 50s, who are single. Some of them never been married. Some have been divorced for a long time. And they're nice men. And I would say, why you got no women out here? What's going on? Why haven't you committed to a woman? And I'm going to tell you one of the common things I hear from men over 50, and that is too much drama. It is one of the number one things I hear from men, that it's too much drama. Now, here's the thing about men in their 50s. It depends on the man, too, because some men in their 50s, they may have already sort of peaked in their career. So they may be at a more comfortable spot where they're not still trying to climb the corporate ladder too much. They're now looking for this more balance in their life. They spent their 20s and their 30s grinding real hard, working a lot of hours. And now they're getting to their 50s and they go, you know what, I want to slow it down a little bit. He's still working, he's still making money, but he wants some time to have some good time, to travel, to do some vacations and things like that. Now you may meet another man where he's not done grinding. He may have gotten a later start in life, or he's still climbing. And so he's still working a lot of hours, and he may not have as much time for a relationship. So I don't think that there's any real general answer. I think you have to know the man that you're dealing with, and I think you have to learn him specifically. Like one of the things I say about dating is that when you are first dating, it's almost like a college, like you're working towards a degree. Like let's say marriage is the degree, and dating is you matriculated towards the degree or taking the classes. So as we know, in freshman year in college, you might be taking general ed classes. Everybody's in the same class. You could be a sociology major, this person's a psychology major, this person over here is an engineering major, but all of you are in this writing class, because what the college says is everybody needs to know to write, whether or not, doesn't matter your major, everyone needs to know how to write. That's where you are when you're first just out here dating. You're a freshman. Everybody's taking general ed. Everybody's taking some math class, a writing class, a history class, something like that. But then as you matriculate through college, you start getting into your core classes, those for your major only, right? So now when you're in upper division classes, the only people in your class are the people who are majoring in that subject, right? So it becomes more specific. That's what dating is. Once you meet a man that you're interested in, he's interested in you, you can forget about the general education classes about what do men like in general. Forget about that because that may not pertain to your man. Now what you do is you are in more specific classes. You are a junior, you are a senior. You need to concentrate more on what that man's life is. So when it says what does a man look for over 50, it depends on where you are in that stage. If you're just out here in general, let's just say you're a freshman, I would say in general that men are looking for women with no drama. And you would think at 50, that would be easy to find, but I'm telling you, the men I talk to, they're saying it's hard to find. And let me tell you where some of the drama is coming from. Sometimes the drama is coming from women who haven't even matured themselves, and they have a lot of drama in their life, still at 50 years old. There might have been women who have been, let's say, irresponsible in the early years of their life. So now in their 50s, they're irresponsible. Like if you didn't take care of certain things when you were 20 or you were 30 or you were 40, if you were a woman, when you get to get 50 and you don't have anything in order, now what you're looking for at 50 is you're looking for a man to come along and make up for all those mistakes you made in your 20s and your 30s and 40s. And let me tell you, men are in their 50s who have their stuff together, they're not trying to take that on. They're not trying to say, listen, I took care of my responsibilities in my 20s, my 30s, and my 40s. I'm not coming along now in my 50s and making up for all the stuff you didn't do right when you was in your 20s or 30s and 40s. So I would say this, men in their 50s are less tolerant. When men are in their 20s and 30s, they may be more tolerant of some of the mistakes you made or are making, because guess what? They're making some of those mistakes too. They're actually growing up alongside with you. But when you at 50, you're supposed to be a full-on grown woman. And men who are full-on grown men are saying, I'm not trying to raise no woman. And so a lot of the reasons they want a woman who's not going to pull them back in time. They want a woman who is going to enhance their lives in terms of quality of life. And when I don't mean by money, I'm talking about peace in their lives, where they can enjoy your company and you're not bringing extra stress to their lives. So sometimes the drama comes from the women's lives themselves. But let me tell you another source where it's coming from, where I'm hearing from it. In fact, I just heard it from another 50-something-year-old man out here, and it's coming from women's grown children, people. I'm not talking about children who are 5 and 10 years old or 15 years old. Because remember, we're talking about 50s or something. We're talking about women with grown children, women who have children who are 20-something years old, who are causing drama in the woman's life. And as a result, she is stressed at 50 over her grown kids. And now when a man comes in her life, this man is saying, I don't want to deal with no woman stressed over some grown kids that haven't grown up. They don't want to do it. So, you know what, we always talk about men don't want to date women with kids. We normally say that with, women have young kids. But nowadays, you're starting to hear about it with older women with grown kids and grown kids that haven't grown up and that don't know how to take care of themselves. So as a result, the woman is still having to play an outsized role in her grown children's lives. And as a result, it brings drama to that woman's life. And that drama, the man sees it and he doesn't want to get involved with it. Because if you think a man didn't want to deal with your child when he was 10, the last thing he wants to deal with is your grown ass son who's 25 or 30. He does not want to deal with it, not at all. And so he may date you, he may sleep with you, but he said, you know what? How would our families combine? How would our lives combine? Because I don't want to deal with JoJo, who can't survive on his own. JoJo got to come live with us. I don't want no grown man moving in the house with me. I'm a 50-year-old man with my own house. I want to maybe get a wife, and JoJo is living with you. So what? If you can't live with me, JoJo got to move in with us? A man ain't doing that. A man ain't doing that. Am I the only one that's heard this, ladies? Drop down in the comments in the chat and let me know if you've heard this same complaint. Uncles out there, I know y'all are out there, and the uncles, let me know if you've heard this. And uncles out there, also let me know what you're looking for. If you are in the 50 range, what are you looking for when you're dating in that date range? But I'm telling you right now, they don't want no mess. They are tired of it. And let me tell you something else. They are more discriminatory in who they choose. Because once you get in your 50s, a lot of men have had all the ass they can take. It's a dime a dozen. And it's easier even now to get it. So you just can't come with a cute face and a cute rear end and think that's going to be enough. People are requiring more, and men have realized by the time they get to be 50 that all ass ain't good ass. They are starting to realize it. So you better bring a whole lot more than that. But I'm going to tell you, one of the things they are looking for is they're looking for a drama-free and a stress-free life. But once you actually know a guy, I think it's better to ask that guy specifically, what is he looking for? Because you'll get even more specific answers to that question as you go along. But anyway, I hope that answered that question. But like, definitely drop down in the chat, uncles, if you are, what are you looking for? Or what are men looking for? Or when, different in their 50s versus maybe what they look for in their 20s or even their 30s or even their 40s. What are these men looking for in a mate? And like I said, I think a lot of it also depends on where that man is in his life, because I think a man does choose a woman based on whether or not that woman fits into his life. Okay. And so that's why I think it's important to know where that man is, what he's doing, because that will tell you whether or not you fit into his life, or even trying to figure out how you can fit into his life so that it makes it so that you become an asset to him. Just like you want him to be an asset to you, you want to be an asset to that man as well. So anyway, let's go on to the next question. The question is, how do you inspire a man to love? How do you inspire a man to go from love in a long-term relationship into marriage? Okay, this is a good question as well. And I'm going to start with the fact that we're starting from a place of you're in a long-term relationship and you want to move to marriage. So first of all, I want to know what people think in terms of a long-term relationship and how far did it take you to move into marriage? Because I think a lot of women are shocked that how quickly a lot of relationships and marriages have formed. Because I'll tell you, I met my husband in August. He proposed by December of the same year. So what's that? August, September, October, November, December, 4 months. And then we were married the following September. So 9 months we ended up getting. So less than a year, or with the year's mark, we met, got engaged, and got married. Now, when it happened to me, I thought, oh my God, this is too fast. This is too fast. Maybe I should slow it down. Maybe I shouldn't do it. And then as I started going out and talking to other women who were married and had been married, some of them had been married for 20, 25, 30 years, and I started to hear their love stories, I started to realize just how not uncommon it was. A lot of people do not date for 5, 10, 4, 6 years. But I want to hear from you, all of you that are married. How long did you date your husband or wife before you proposed or you got engaged? And then how long until you got married? Put it down in the chat, put it in the comments, let people know. Because I think a lot of women might be shocked that it doesn't take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get to know a person. Not if you're doing it intentionally. Remember, even like on these shows like Married at First Sight, they're accelerated. Because what these shows like Married at First Sight are doing, Ready to Love, is you are crunching your interactions. Which means if you were in the real world on like Married at First Sight, it's 8 weeks. But you may only go out with that guy once a week, weekends, when you were off work. So over 8 weeks, you might have only had 8 dates at best. But when you're on Married at First Sight, you are literally with this person at least 6, 7 hours every day, which means you're dating every single day. So what it would take you in terms of questions and getting to know a person, which might take you a year in the real world, you can get through a lot of those questions, a lot of that sort of figuring out a person, sometimes a lot sooner. So if you're dating with intention, you absolutely do not need 2, 3, 4, 5 years to date. In fact, I advocate not for doing that. But in this situation, let's say you're already in a long-term relationship. It hasn't progressed to marriage, and you're wondering, oh, what's going on? What's going on? First of all, I think you need to ask some really pointed questions, and you do need to figure out and ask um, why that man hasn't wanted to move into marriage. Now, the way I think you should ask that question is, I think you should say something like, hey, I actually would like to be married in a year or two. It's something that I want for myself for whatever reason. Follow up with your own reason. My question is to you, can you see that happening in that time frame? Can you see us married in a year? Can you see yourself married to you? If he says, I don't know, what you need to do is you need to figure out what the why is. A lot of women will think they know the why, but sometimes they don't. A lot of men, some men may just not want to get married. They may not be marriage minded. They may say, I don't believe in marriage. Okay, but you need to know what the answer is. Other men say, well, I want to get my money right. They may have in their mind how much money they want to have saved before they get married, because they're also thinking that that's what you need. And so as a result, they want to come with a certain level because they don't want to be disappointing you or embarrassed to you. And so sometimes they're working towards a goal that is not always as important to you. Sometimes women, let me tell you, I have known so many women who have held back a proposal because of a wedding ring, because they want a certain type of ring. That man then decides he knows he can't bring her any old kind of ring. So what he does is he says, I'll withhold the proposal until I can afford the ring. Or I'll withhold the proposal until I can afford the wedding. So sometimes women put obstacles in their own way before they can get the proposal. So that's why I think it starts with a conversation about, if you're not married and you're in a long-term relationship, you absolutely have to find out why the man hasn't wanted to move towards a marriage. It may be because he still got questions about you. It may be because he says, well, I'm not sure because we're struggling in this area. It may be, I've talked to another friend and a man was holding back a proposal because they were a couple. They were in a long-term relationship. He had his own house. She had her house. And he didn't want to propose to her because she had already made it clear that he didn't want to move into his house. So he was like, well, why would I propose to her? Because I'm not going to move into her house. So she wants to get married, but the marriage was being held up because what he was saying was, I don't see how our lives are going to mesh together because she doesn't want to move into my house and I'm not going to move into her house. So really what needed to be solved to get to the marriage was this whole living situation thing. And her reason for not wanting to move into his house because his house wasn't as done up as hers. His house was, it was more basic, in her house, she had redone it. It was nice. But he was adamant that he was not going to move into another woman's house because what he said was, I had done that before in another relationship. And when the relationship was bad, that woman put me out. And he said, I'll never do it again. And so here he was saying, the next time I got married or was in a relationship, I would want the woman to move into my house, which meant that the woman was going to need to make a sacrifice and move into his house. And she didn't want to make the sacrifice. So you need to find out what's holding up your proposal. And the only way you get to that is by listening and talking to the man you're in the relationship with, because you might be surprised that it may not have anything to do with them not loving you at all. It may not have to do anything with love at all. It may have something to do with finances. It may have to do with, maybe sometimes the way women speak. Some women speak in a way in which says they're independent. I don't need a man. Well, I'm telling you, you talk about a way to kill a marriage or kill a road to marriage. Tell a man, I don't need a man. And let me tell you, he will hold on to that proposal like it's his last dollar bill. That is absolutely one way to get a man not to propose to you, is telling him, I don't need you. Because then what he thinks is, he's like, wait a minute, that means you can get rid of me anytime you want to. When you don't need me, that means you can get rid of me. And so why would I marry you knowing that at any moment in time, you don't need me, so you can get rid of me anytime you want to? Don't no man want to marry that. No man wants to marry a woman where it's based on her feelings or emotions. Because let me tell you, every man knows that our feelings as women change all the time. Okay. And so he doesn't want to put all his money on the fact that at any moment in time, because you don't need him, you may get rid of him. No, he wants to know that you need him, that you want him in your life all the time, that you can't live without him. That's how you're going to get a man to the altar. That's how you're going to get a man to the altar, is let him know that he is an integral part of your life and that you need him and you want him around all the time and you don't want anything temporary. And you need to figure out and ask him, what's stopping this train up? What are your fears, your apprehensions, or whatever? And then the two of you sit down and maybe you start working towards that. And if you hear an answer from him saying, hey, you know what? I don't think I want to get married. I'm that marriage minded. Then you have your answer. You have your answer. And then you sit down and you come up with a time frame. You say, hey, well, can we work towards this a year, 2 years? And then you stick to that. You don't set a year mark. And then when a year comes and you don't follow through on what you said you were going to do. No, I know men talking about they don't want to hear no ultimatum. It's not called an ultimatum. It's called a goal. Okay. It's not called an ultimatum. It's called a goal. It's a goal that you set together and you're both working towards that goal. It's not about marry me now or I'm gonna leave you. No, don't do that. That don't work either. But set a goal that you both can agree on, and then you work towards that goal. But if you can't agree on the goal, that'll tell you right there. But to entice a man towards marriage in which you've been in a long-term relationship, you actually have to know what motivates that man. And you also have to know what's been holding him back. And the only way you get to know what motivates him and holds him back is by talking to him and asking him and understanding that. And then once you know what a person's motivations are, specifically to him, then you can work on meeting those things, or you can decide you don't want to do it. It'll be up to you. Like I said, in the end, women get to get to accept or reject. In the end, but you have to get the proposal to be able to accept or reject. So anyway, that's it. That's the answer to that question. So let's go on to the next question. And that question is, okay, so for our last question is, how does one go about forgiving an emotional affair? Whew. So I know people talk about emotional affairs versus physical affairs. And oftentimes I think some people, we'll say that sometimes, emotional affair is worse than a physical affair. I don't even know if this question is coming from a man or if it's coming from a woman. So I think it's different depending on your gender. So I don't know. I don't even know how I should answer it, but I will say this. Any type of affair, whether it's physical or emotional, it's so many different emotions wrapped up into that. You feel betrayed, you feel lied to, you feel cheated, bamboozled, you feel angry. You deal with so many different emotions when it comes to an affair. And so when it comes to forgiving, and people all say you can forgive, but you can't forget, I do believe that marriages, if you're married or in a relationship, you can degrade a relationship over time if you just keep using up the forgiveness card all the time. I think when we come into a relationship, we come in a full. And then as things happen in the relationship, people disappoint you, people let you down, people do things you don't like. You can sort of see like that innocence left you. I believe that once you've had a traumatic event, and let's be honest, affairs are traumatic. I don't know if you ever get back to where you were, like your origins. It's almost like losing your virginity. It's like, yeah, I have lost my virginity, and yeah, I may not have had sex for 6 years, but I'm no longer a virgin. And I think that's what affairs do to you. I think when you're in a relationship with someone, and prior to the affair, you were a virgin. You and your husband or boyfriend, you guys were a virgin. And then now all of a sudden this has crept in and you're not a virgin anymore. And you can work towards rebuilding the relationship, but you'll never be a virgin again. And so I think part of forgiving is recognizing that you can reinvent yourself and be a better version. You could have a better relationship, but it doesn't mean you're going to have the same relationship you had in the past. And you actually may not want that relationship you had in the past, because that relationship might have led to the actual affair. Like you hear a lot of people who've been had affairs, and a lot of people would say, you know what, if it wasn't for the affair, we wouldn't be where we are now. And it sounds really crazy, but a lot of times what they're saying is, if that hadn't jolted us, we would have been stuck in the same patterns, unhappy. But because that traumatic event happened to us, it allowed us to go on and build something better instead of the new. So maybe one of the techniques to helping you forgive an emotional affair is looking at it as an opportunity to not get back what you had before, but to build something better, something new, and something stronger. Maybe looking at it and say, hey, it exposed some weakness in our marriage. But let me just assume, it may not be right, but let's just assume it's a woman asking the question and her husband had the emotional affair. Let's say he's talking to some woman on Instagram, Facebook, texting, or whatever else. He hasn't slept with the woman, but it's an emotional affair. Let's just say that's the scenario. And let's say that he's confiding and telling that woman things, and he has an emotional connection with that woman. I'm going to say this. When it comes to women, I got an emotional affair with my own best friend girlfriend, because let me tell you, we talk about everything. I am quite aware that I have way more outlets to talk about deep feelings than my husband does, because it is accepted amongst women. We have girlfriends who we could talk about intimate things and not be judged. We have sisters. We have all these types of things. Men, on the other hand, sometimes a lot of men don't have someone that they can be vulnerable with and tell some of their secrets with, and they're scared that they'll be judged. And I talked about this in one of my most recent videos about side chicks, how side chicks play this role in husbands and women's lives, because sometimes with side chicks, the role they're playing is they're playing a safe space for a man to go to let out emotions and feelings that man is scared to tell his wife, because one, he doesn't know how the wife will receive it, or he doesn't want to be looked at as less than from the wife's eyes. So oftentimes men will find a woman to talk to, because who else they gonna find to talk to? Think about it. If a man wants to open up and talk about his deepest, darkest secrets, but he's afraid to do it with his wife, who's more likely he's going to do it with? He's going to do it with another female, because as women, we actually tend to have that more nurturing part of us. More than likely, he's going to find another female to do it with. And I talk about on my video that a lot of men out here having emotional affairs and affairs with women, what they really need is a psychiatrist or a psychologist, because they're really just looking for someone to talk to where they can open up and let things out without feeling judged or without feeling as if it's going to come back on them. And that's what they're using that side chick or that woman on the phone or the text messages with. They're living out something else on that realm. And so if you find yourself in an emotional affair, I would probably have to do some time and figure out what was my partner looking for in that emotional affair. And at some point in time, I would have to get out of my feelings, which is hard. Oh my God, it's so hard. And I would have to try and put more on maybe a more logical thinking about it and figure out what caused it in the first place. And is there anything that we could do to make it better, and maybe the relationship can be stronger? Because sometimes you also might find out that the reason for the emotional affair was because of an insecurity with the man. You find that a lot, where a lot of times men are just using these side women as their own fan club, right? That the man needs a lot of affirmations. He needs a lot of pumping up. And it didn't matter how well what his wife did, how much she pumped him up, how much she supported him. He has this insatiable need to be praised, lifted up, or looked at. And so he has to go out, out here in the world and get that support from another woman. I mean, I think you see that a lot. I don't know if any of you watched that show, Love and Marriage Huntsville. I think we found that out about the Martells of the world, that some men, they can never get everything they need from one woman, because they have an overwhelming need to be constantly praised and lifted up, and no woman can satisfy them. So in terms of trying to how you get past an emotional fear, I think you first have to start with first figuring out why it happened, how it happened, and then really seeing, is there anything that, besides, of course, him doing it, is there anything that you might could have done differently that might have helped interrupt that process? And if so, then go about it doing it. But I'm not one of those people where I think you ever forget. I think it's like a lot of things. I think it's like getting a disease, cancer. Once you get cancer, you ain't gonna never forget you had cancer. Once you've been cheated on, you're never gonna forget. You're never gonna forget the emotion. Once someone's emotion, you're never gonna forget the emotion. But I think you can say, hey, just like people have had deaths and tragedies in their life, because we've all had death and tragedy in life, we've learned how to pick ourselves back up. We've learned how to say, you know what, life goes on. Let me figure out a new way to move forward, and maybe let me go on and live a more healthier and happier life. A lot of people would tell you, I got cancer, and it ended up being the turnaround in my life. I'm healthier now. I'm in the best shape I've ever been because it awakened something in me. And maybe, maybe that's like a little psychological thing you can do on yourself and say, hey, you know what? Would I have wanted this for myself? Would I have wanted my partner, my husband, to be having an emotional affair? No, it is not anything anyone sits around and wishes for. But maybe it's an opportunity for you to also start talking about some of the things you weren't getting. Because sometimes when affairs are going on, it's not because one person is happy and another person's unhappy. It's just that the unhappy person, or the person who felt they were missing something, they handle it different. Because there are a lot of people who are in relationships that are unhappy, but they don't go out and sleep with another person or have an emotional affair. They suffer in silence. So when someone else has gone out and looked for some type of extracurricular activity, it doesn't mean that you yourself was missing something. So sometimes someone else's bad deed opens up the door for you to talk about and say, hey, you know what? I can understand why you went out and started talking to someone else, because to be honest with you, I'm missing some things in this relationship too. And although I didn't go out and find another person, I'm missing it. And I want to figure out how, not just about what I can do so you're not having emotional fear, what can you also do to fulfill me? So I think it becomes a time when you can sit down and you can use it as an opportunity to strengthen your relationship. And if you look at it from that point of view, maybe it helps you get over it. But rebuilding trust, forgiving someone takes a lot of time, and it takes a constant effort. And so hopefully the person doesn't continue to re-abuse you. Like, you get over it once, and then right when you're getting back, they do it again. Because that's like peeling a scab off an old wound. You can't heal if a person keeps coming and peeling off the same scab. So hopefully if it's a one-time thing and it happened once, you can build upon it, because that's quite a bit different than if a person is continually having the same type of emotional affairs over and over again. Because if that's the situation, maybe you don't need to forgive it. Maybe you need to come up with a different solution, because that might be telling you that this problem may not have an end. And I think if you watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, I think that's the conclusion Melody eventually came to, was that no amount of change in things I could do, whatever, wasn't going to change, because a lot of the problem was with Martell in this situation, how he felt about himself. And nothing she could do was going to change the way he felt, and his need for that sort of emotional affair, which eventually, of course, sometimes leads to a physical affair. So anyway, I hope that answers the question. But that is all our questions for the day, y'all. I don't know how long I talked. But I hopefully all of you down in the chat, I forgot to prompt you over any of these questions. Hopefully you guys have been chiming in the chat, giving your advice on what you think about these questions as well. Hopefully it was interesting and fun. Hopefully some people learned something. And like I said, we will try to schedule more of these. I don't know how often we'll do them, but I will definitely be keeping my forums up. So as I upload new videos and things like that, if it does make you guys think about a question, you will absolutely drop your question down in the chat. And then all of us uncles and aunties will answer them. And if you didn't make the live premiere and you were just down in the comments, definitely write down in the comments any of the answers you have to any of these questions. and let me know what you think. But that's it, y'all. I hope you had fun. I hope you found it interesting, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.